Captain Jake Morrison walked across the metal floor of his ship's bridge. His boots made soft sounds with each step. Outside the big windows, space looked black and empty. Stars shone like tiny lights in the darkness. His ship, the Horizon, floated at the edge of human space. They had been waiting here for 3 days. Jake looked at the screens that showed where other ships were. Earth's fleet was spread out across the solar system. Everyone was nervous. 3 months ago, aliens had come to Earth for the first time. The meeting had not gone well. Commander Lisa Harper came up to Jake. She held a flat computer in her hands. Lisa had been his second in command for 2 years. She was smart and brave. Jake trusted her more than anyone else on the ship. "Captain, we have a problem," Lisa said. Her voice was quiet, but serious. "The new rules from the aliens are making life hard for our people. The colonies on Jupiter's moons are running out of food. The mining stations near Saturn need supplies. But we cannot send help because of what the aliens told us." Jake nodded. He had been thinking about the same thing. The alien leader, Ambassador Zethkar, had come from a group called the Viridian Confederation. Zethkar looked like a tall lizard that walked on 2 legs. His skin was green and his eyes were yellow. When he spoke, his voice sounded like rocks grinding together. The alien had brought a message that scared everyone in the room. He said that humans must follow something called the Silent Protocol. No radio signals could leave the solar system. No ships could travel beyond the edge of human space. No new colonies could be built on distant worlds. If humans broke these rules, something terrible would happen. "The Devourers will wake up," Zethkar had said. "They sleep in the dark between stars. But if they hear noise, if they see lights moving where they should not be, they will come. They will eat everything. Your worlds, your people, your sun. Nothing will be left." The alien had shown pictures on a big screen, dead planets with no life. Empty star systems where suns had gone dark, cities turned to dust and ash. The images made everyone afraid. Jake remembered how quiet the room had become. Earth's leaders had asked many questions. How long had the Devourers been sleeping? Where did they come from? How could humanity hide from them? Zethkar had answered some questions but not others. He said the Devourers had attacked the galaxy 3,000 years ago. They had destroyed many worlds and killed billions of beings. The surviving aliens had learned to be quiet and still. They lived in small areas and never made too much noise. This was the only way to stay safe. "All smart races follow the Silent Protocol," Zethkar had said. "Those who do not follow it die. We tell you this because we do not want humans to die. But if you choose to be loud, if you choose to spread across the galaxy, you will wake the Devourers, and then you will die anyway." Now Jake stood on his ship and thought about those words. The Silent Protocol had trapped humanity in their own home. Earth's population was growing. People needed more space and more resources. The colonies on Mars, Europa, and Titan were important for human survival. But under the new rules, these places could not get help when they needed it. Dr. Alex Carter walked onto the bridge. He was the ship's science officer and an expert on alien life. Alex was young, but very smart. He had studied every piece of information the aliens had given to Earth. For weeks, he had been reading their historical records and language files. "Captain," Alex said, "I have been thinking about what the aliens told us. Something does not make sense." Jake turned to look at Alex. "What do you mean?" "The aliens say the Devourers destroyed many worlds 3,000 years ago. But look at the galaxy now. There are hundreds of different alien races. They have big cities and huge ships. They trade with each other across vast distances. How can they do all of this while following the Silent Protocol?" Lisa looked interested. "That is a good question. If everyone has to be quiet and stay in small areas, how can they have such a big civilization?" Alex pulled out his computer and showed them a map of the galaxy. Bright dots marked where different alien races lived. Lines showed trade routes between star systems. The map showed a galaxy full of activity and movement. "This does not look like a galaxy where everyone is hiding and staying quiet," Alex said. This looks like a galaxy where the powerful aliens do whatever they want and they use fear to control the weaker ones. Jake felt something cold in his stomach. Are you saying the aliens lied to us? I am saying we should ask more questions, Alex replied. The aliens gave us some historical records, but they are incomplete. There are gaps in the timeline. Important information is missing. I think they are not telling us the whole truth. Commander, Harper looked worried. If they are lying, what does that mean for us? Jake stared out at the stars. Each point of light represented a world that humans would never be allowed to visit. He thought about Earth's growing population and limited resources. He thought about the colonies that needed help. He thought about humanity's dream of exploring the galaxy and finding new homes among the stars. Dr. Carter, Jake said slowly, I want you to study everything the aliens gave us. Look for lies, missing information, and things that do not make sense. But do it quietly. We do not want them to know what we are doing. What are you thinking, Captain? Lisa asked. Jake turned away from the window and looked at his crew. These people trusted him to make the right choices. Earth trusted him to protect humanity's future. He could play it safe and follow the alien rules, or he could take a risk and search for the truth. I am thinking that fear is a powerful weapon, Jake said, and I want to know who is really using it. 2 weeks passed on the horizon. Dr. Alex Carter worked day and night in his small lab. He studied the alien records with great care. The files contained thousands of pages written in different alien languages. Some parts were easy to read. Other parts seemed to be written in code. Alex found patterns in the words that troubled him. When the aliens wrote about the Devourers, they used the same phrases over and over. It was like they had memorized a story and told it the same way, every time. Real history did not look like this. Real history had different voices and different viewpoints. Late one night, Alex made a discovery that changed everything. He was reading a very old text from a race called the Corvani. The Corvani had died out long ago, but their records survived. In their language, Alex found a word that the translators had been getting wrong. The word that other aliens translated as devourers actually meant something else in Old Corvani. It meant harvesters or collectors. Alex read the sentence again and again to make sure he understood. The Corvani were not talking about monsters that ate planets. They were talking about machines that collected resources. Alex ran to the bridge. Captain Jake Morrison was there, looking at star charts with Commander Lisa Harper. It was the middle of the night shift, but Jake could not sleep. He had been having bad dreams about dead worlds and hungry monsters. Captain, Alex said, breathing hard from running, I found something important. The aliens have been lying to us. Jake turned around quickly. What did you find? Alex put his computer on the main table. The Devourers were not some terrible enemy that came from outside the galaxy. They were created by the most advanced alien race. The aliens called themselves the Architects. Lisa looked confused. Created? You mean the Devourers were built by someone? Yes, Alex said. The Architects were worried about too many races fighting over resources, so they built machines to control the situation. The machines were supposed to remove planets and civilizations that the Architects thought were not needed. Jake felt sick. They built machines to kill entire races? That was the plan, Alex said. But something went wrong. The machines did not just attack the races the Architects wanted gone. They attacked everyone, including the Architects themselves. The machines turned into real devourers that ate everything they could find. Alex showed them pictures from the old records. The images showed huge metal ships shaped like spiders. The ships had long arms that could tear apart planets and suck up all the materials. Behind them, they left empty space where star systems used to be. This happened 3,000 years ago, Alex continued. Many races died, but the survivors found a way to stop the machines. They learned how to send shutdown signals that made the Devourers go to sleep. Commander Harper leaned forward. If they could control the machines, why do we need the silent protocol? Alex smiled, but it was not a happy smile. That is the big lie. The silent protocol is not about hiding from sleeping monsters. It is about keeping newer races weak and small. The old alien races discovered they could use the fear of the Devourers to control everyone else. Jake sat down heavily in his chair. The truth was worse than he had imagined. So when the aliens came to Earth and told us about the silent protocol, they were putting us in a cage, Alex said. They want to make sure humans never become powerful enough to challenge them. They use the story of the Devourers to keep us afraid and obedient. Lisa looked angry. How many other races are trapped like us? Alex checked his notes. From what I can tell, at least 15 other species are following the silent protocol. All of them are young races that developed space travel in the last 1,000 years. All of them were told the same story about sleeping monsters. Jake stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the stars looked different now. They were not distant and forbidden places. They were prizes being kept away from humanity by lies and fear. There is more, Alex said quietly. I found communications between the alien races. They call us young races problems in their private messages. They discuss ways to limit our growth and keep us under control. Some of them want to use direct force. Others prefer the fear method. What do you mean by direct force? Lisa asked. Alex showed them another file. Some aliens think the silent protocol is not working well enough. They want to activate small groups of Devourers to attack colonies belonging to young races. They think this will make the fear more real and keep everyone in line. Jake felt cold. Are they planning to attack human colonies? I think so, Alex said. There are references to Sol system in some of the recent communications. They mention our Mars colonies and the mining stations as good targets for a demonstration. The bridge became very quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. The aliens were not protecting humanity from ancient monsters. They were planning to use those monsters to attack human settlements. Lieutenant Commander Sam Brooks entered the bridge. He was the ship's weapons officer, a tall man with red hair and a serious face. Sam had been checking the ship's defense systems. Captain, Sam said, I just received a priority message from Earth Command. Admiral Kate Reynolds wants to speak with you immediately. Jake nodded. Put her through. The main screen showed Admiral Reynolds sitting in her office on Earth. She looked tired and worried. Behind her, other officers were working at computers with urgent expressions. Captain Morrison, the Admiral said, we have detected unusual activity in deep space. Long-range sensors are picking up energy signatures that match no known technology. The signals are moving toward the outer colonies. Jake, Lisa, and Alex looked at each other. They all had the same terrible thought. Admiral, Jake said, we have discovered important information about the aliens and their silent protocol. Dr. Carter has proof that they have been lying to us. The Devourers are not sleeping monsters. They are weapons that the aliens can control. Admiral Reynolds leaned forward. Are you saying the aliens might be using these weapons against us? Yes, ma'am, Jake replied. And I believe they are doing it right now. Admiral Kate Reynolds made her decision quickly. She had listened to Dr. Carter's evidence and studied the data from the horizon. The proof was clear. The aliens had been lying to humanity from the beginning. Captain Morrison, Admiral Reynolds, said through the communication screen, I am authorizing Operation Breakthrough. We will not stay silent while the aliens plan to attack our people. Jake felt his heart beat faster. What are your orders, Admiral? We will launch 3 missions at the same time, Reynolds explained. First, our diplomatic team will confront the Galactic Council and demand answers. Second, our defense fleets will protect the outer colonies from any incoming threats. Third, your ship will travel to the Architect homeworld. Dr. Alex Carter looked surprised. Admiral, we thought the Architects were extinct. The aliens told us the Devourers destroyed them. Admiral Reynolds smiled coldly. Dr. Carter, we have learned not to trust what the aliens tell us. Our deep space telescopes have detected energy signatures from the Architect system. Someone is still there, and we need to know who. Commander Lisa Harper checked the navigation charts. Admiral, the Architect system is very far away. It will take us weeks to get there, even at maximum speed. I understand, Reynolds said, but if the Architects are still alive, they might have the original control codes for the Devourers. That information could save not just humanity, but all the young races trapped by the silent protocol. Jake looked at his crew. They were scared, but ready. "We will find the truth, Admiral. You can count on us." "Good luck, Captain. Earth is depending on you." The screen went dark. Jake turned to his officers. "Lisa, set course for the architect system. Sam, make sure all weapons are ready. Alex, prepare everything you have learned. About the Devourers. We might need that information." The Horizon left human space for the first time in 3 months. As they traveled through hyperspace, Jake thought about what they might find. Were the architects really alive after 3,000 years? If they were, would they help humanity or see them as another threat? 3 weeks later, they arrived at the edge of the architect system. What they saw amazed them. The system was not dead like the aliens had claimed. 3 planets orbited a yellow star. Energy readings showed active technology on all 3 worlds. "Captain," said Communications Officer Lisa Patel, "we are being scanned by something. The energy pattern is unlike anything in our databases." Suddenly, warning lights flashed on the bridge. Lieutenant Commander Sam Brooks checked his weapons panel. "Captain, we have multiple contacts approaching. They look like defense platforms." On the main screen, strange objects appeared. They were made of smooth metal and shaped like diamonds. Each platform was the size of a small ship. Blue lights pulsed along their surfaces in complex patterns. "Unknown vessel," came a voice over the communication system. The voice sounded old and tired. "You have entered protected space. State your purpose or be destroyed." Jake stepped forward. "This is Captain Morrison of the Earthship Horizon. We are humans from the Sol system. We seek the truth about the Devourers and the Silent Protocol." There was a long pause. Then the voice spoke again, and this time it sounded interested. "Humans, we have watched your species for some time. You are the first to question the lies of the Council. Follow our guidance signals. Do not deviate from the prescribed path." Blue lights appeared in space, forming a line toward the 3rd planet. Jake ordered the helmsman to follow the lights carefully. As they flew closer to the planet, they saw incredible things. Huge cities covered the surface. Ships moved between orbital stations. This was not a dead world. This was a civilization that had been hiding for thousands of years. The Horizon landed at a spaceport near one of the cities. The buildings were tall and graceful, made of materials that seemed to glow with inner light. Gardens and water features were everywhere. It was beautiful but also sad, like a place where people had given up hope. A small group came to meet them at the landing pad. They were tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large, dark eyes. Their leader was an elderly female, who walked with the help of a metal staff. "I am Kelthera," she said in perfect English. "I am a keeper of records for our people. We have been waiting for someone like you to arrive." Jake, Lisa, and Alex followed Kelthera through the city. The streets were clean but empty. Few people were outside. The ones they saw looked sad and tired. "Your people seem unhappy," Lisa observed. Kelthera nodded. "We have lived with guilt for 3,000 years. We created the Devourers, and because of our mistake, billions died. We retreated to our homeworld and have stayed hidden ever since." They entered a massive building filled with computers and holographic displays. The walls showed star charts and historical records. In the center of the room was a large table covered with control panels. "This is our monitoring station," Kelthera explained. "From here we watch the galaxy and maintain control over the remaining Devourers." Alex looked excited. "So you can still control them?" "Yes," Kelthera said. "We never lost that ability. The surviving races discovered how to send the shutdown commands, but they chose to use this knowledge as a weapon of control rather than liberation." Jake felt angry. "They use your creations to frighten younger races into submission." "Exactly," Kelthera said. 17 species have been confined to their home systems in the past 1,000 years. All were told they were being protected. None were told they were being controlled. She led them to another display that showed current galactic activity. Jake could see human space marked in red as a restricted zone. Other red zones marked the locations of confined species. The Council has grown comfortable with their power, Kelthera continued. They believe they can manage the galaxy by keeping everyone else weak and afraid. But your species is different. You ask questions. You seek truth. This makes them nervous. Lisa studied the displays. How nervous? Kelthera touched a control panel. New information appeared on the screens. Jake saw images of devourer machines moving through space toward human colonies. Very nervous, Kelthera said quietly. They have activated 6 devourers and sent them toward your Mars settlements. The attack will begin in 2 days. The room became silent. Jake realized they were too far away to warn Earth in time. Even their fastest communication signals would take days to reach home. However, Kelthera said, we can help you save your people. We can send the shutdown commands from here, but we need something from you in return. What do you want? Jake asked. Kelthera smiled for the first time since they had met her. We want you to tell the galaxy the truth. We want you to broadcast the real history of the Devourers and expose the Council's lies. It is time for the young races to be free. Jake looked at his officers. They nodded. The choice was clear. We accept, Jake said. Save our people, and we will tell the galaxy everything. Kelthera led Jake and his team deeper into the architect facility. The walls were covered with screens showing every part of the galaxy. Thousands of years of history were stored in this place. The old architect moved slowly, but with purpose. Time is running short, she said. The Devourers will reach your Mars colonies in 36 hours. We must act quickly. Dr. Alex Carter looked at the control systems with wonder. How do you send the shutdown commands to machines that are so far away? The Devourers were built with quantum communication links, Kelthera explained. Distance does not matter. We can reach them instantly from here. But first, we must prepare the truth broadcast. She led them to a large chamber filled with recording equipment. The technology was far more advanced than anything humans had built. Cameras that could capture every detail floated in the air. Translation devices could convert speech into hundreds of languages at once. From this room, we can send a message to every inhabited world in the galaxy, Kelthera said. The Council cannot block it or stop it. Every species will hear what you have to say. Jake felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. What should we tell them? Tell them everything, Kelthera replied. Tell them about the real history of the Devourers. Tell them about the silent protocol and how it is used to control young races. Tell them that they have been living in cages built from lies. Commander Lisa Harper looked worried. Once we broadcast this message, there will be no going back. The Council will see this as an act of war. The Council already sees your existence as a threat, Kelthera said. They are sending Devourers to attack your people. The war has already begun. You are simply choosing to fight back? Jake made his decision. He walked to the center of the recording chamber. The floating cameras turned to focus on him. He could feel the eyes of the galaxy watching, even though the broadcast had not started yet. Dr. Carter, Jake said, show them the evidence you found. Lisa, explain what the silent protocol really means. I will tell them about humanity's choice. The recording began. Jake spoke directly to the cameras, his voice clear and strong. My name is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Ship Horizon. I am speaking to you from the homeworld of the Architects, a race that your leaders told you was extinct. They lied about that, just as they have lied about everything else. Dr. Carter stepped forward and presented his research. He showed the real translation of the word Devourers and explained how the machines were created as tools of control, not natural predators. He displayed the evidence of gaps and lies in the Council's historical records. Commander Harper explained how the silent protocol was used to trap 17 different species in their home systems. She showed maps of restricted zones and documented communications between Council members discussing how to keep young races weak. The most important truth, Jake continued, is that you do not have to live in fear. The Devourers are not sleeping monsters waiting to destroy you. They are machines controlled by the same aliens who claim to protect you. And now, Those aliens are using their weapons to attack anyone who questions their authority. As Jake spoke, Kelthera worked at the control systems in another room. She accessed the quantum communication network that connected to the Devourers heading toward Mars. Her fingers moved quickly across the control panels, entering the shutdown codes that had not been used for centuries. Far away in space, 6 massive machines suddenly stopped moving. The Devourers had been rushing toward the human colonies with their weapon systems active. Now they powered down and began to drift harmlessly through space. On Mars, the human colonists had been preparing for evacuation. They had received warning messages from Earth about an incoming threat. Defense ships had positioned themselves around the Red Planet, ready to fight an enemy they did not understand. Admiral Kate Reynolds was in the command center on Mars when the reports came in. "Admiral," said her communications officer, "the incoming objects have stopped. They are no longer showing active energy signatures." Reynolds looked at the tactical display. The 6 Devourer machines hung motionless in space like dead metal sculptures. "Send scout ships to investigate," she ordered. "But keep our distance, this might be a trap." Back on the Architect homeworld, the broadcast continued. Jake had finished his main speech, but now other voices were being added to the message. Kelthera herself spoke about the guilt her people had carried for 3,000 years, and their desire to see the galaxy free from the lies that had grown from their mistake. Even more powerful were the voices of other confined species. The broadcast equipment was picking up signals from the restricted zones around the galaxy. Representatives from the trapped races were adding their own testimonies to the message. A delegate from the Corvani descendants spoke about generations of their people who had died because they could not expand to new worlds. A leader from the Talnari explained how their advanced medical knowledge could have saved billions of lives if they had been allowed to share it freely. 17 species, Jake said as the broadcast neared its end. 17 civilizations, told they were being protected while they were actually being controlled. How many more would the Council trap in the future? How long would you let fear rule your lives? The message ended, but its effects began immediately. Across the galaxy, entire civilizations stopped what they were doing to watch and listen. On Council worlds, emergency meetings were called. On restricted worlds, people began to demand answers from their leaders. The response was swift and dramatic. Within hours, several Council member species announced they were withdrawing from the organization. The Zemurian Republic declared that the Silent Protocol was illegal under galactic law. The Arcturus Federation opened its borders to all confined species and offered military support for their liberation. Other Council members reacted with anger and fear. The Viridian Confederation, led by Ambassador Zethkar, issued threats against any species that helped the rebel races. 3 other major Council powers began mobilizing their fleets for war. On the Architect homeworld, Kelthera monitored the galactic communications networks. "Your message has divided the galaxy," she told Jake. "Half are ready to support you, the other half want to destroy you." Jake looked at the screens showing fleet movements across dozens of star systems. Ships were taking positions for battles that would determine the future of galactic civilization. "We knew this would happen," Jake said. "The Council will not give up their power without a fight. But now the fight will be fair. Everyone knows the truth." Lisa Harper received a message from Earth. Admiral Reynolds was reporting that the Devourer threat to Mars had ended, but new Council fleets were moving toward human space. "Captain," Lisa said, "Admiral Reynolds wants to know if we have any more surprises from our Architect friends. The Council is sending everything they have against us." Jake looked at Kelthera. "Can you help us in the war that is coming?" The old Architect was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled. "Captain Morrison, my people have been hiding for 3,000 years. We have been watching and preparing. Did you think we only learned how to control the Devourers?" She led them to another chamber, this one filled with weapon schematics and battle plans. "We know the weaknesses of every Council fleet. We have technologies they have never seen. And most importantly, we are no longer alone." On the screens, Jake could see ships beginning to move from the Architect system. These were not the graceful city ships they had seen earlier. These were warships, sleek and powerful, designed by a race that had 3,000 years to prepare for this moment. The galaxy chose silence because it was afraid, Kelthera said. But you chose defiance. Now let us see which choice was stronger. The war for galactic freedom began 3 days after the truth broadcast. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the horizon as they traveled back toward human space. Around them flew 50 architect warships. Each vessel was sleek and deadly, powered by technology that the Council had never seen. Captain, Communications Officer Lisa Patel reported, "We are receiving updates from Admiral Reynolds. The battle for Earth has begun." On the main screen, Jake could see the tactical display of his home system. Council fleets had arrived from 4 directions, led by the Viridian Confederation and their allies, but they were not fighting only human ships. Vessels from 12 different liberated species had come to help defend Earth. Dr. Alex Carter studied the battle reports. The Council brought 200 ships, but our alliance has almost 300 vessels now. More species are joining us every hour. Commander Lisa Harper looked worried as she read the casualty reports. The fighting is fierce. Both sides are losing ships. This is not going to be an easy victory. Kelthera appeared on the bridge. The old architect had insisted on coming with them to see the end of the war she had helped start. "Captain Morrison, the time has come to use our greatest weapon against the Council." "What weapon?" Jake asked. "The truth," Kelthera replied. "We can show the galaxy what the Council really thinks of the younger races. My people have been monitoring their private communications for centuries. The things they say when they think no one is listening will shock everyone." She activated a holographic display that showed recorded conversations between Council leaders. Ambassador Zethkar appeared, speaking to other Viridian officials about humanity. "The humans are like children playing with fire," Zethkar said in the recording. "We should have eliminated them months ago. These young races never learn their place until they are forced to accept it." Another recording showed Council military commanders discussing the attack on Mars. 6 devourers should be enough to destroy their colonies and teach them fear. If not, we can always send more. The young races need to understand that defiance means death. Jake felt his anger grow as he listened to more recordings. The Council leaders spoke about confined species like they were pets or prisoners. They discussed which races should be allowed to survive and which should be eliminated for asking too many questions. "Broadcast these recordings to every world in the galaxy," Jake ordered. "Let everyone hear what the Council really thinks of them." The recording spread across the galactic communication networks within hours. The response was immediate and powerful. 3 more Council member species announced they were leaving the organization. The Hegemony of Worlds declared the Council a criminal organization and sent their entire fleet to join the liberation forces. In the Earth system, the tide of battle began to turn. Admiral Kate Reynolds coordinated the defense from her flagship, the Defiance. Human ships fought alongside vessels from the Talnari, the Zemurian Republic, and 8 other liberated species. "Admiral," her tactical officer reported, "the Council fleets are retreating. They cannot match our combined firepower." But the war was not just being fought in space. On dozens of worlds, people were rising up against local Council authorities. The 17 confined species were breaking free from their restrictions and claiming their right to explore the galaxy. Jake and the Horizon arrived at Earth just as the main battle was ending. The remaining Council ships were fleeing toward the edge of the system. The victory belonged to the Liberation Alliance. On the surface of Earth, representatives from 30 different species gathered for an emergency galactic assembly. They met in the same building where the aliens had first delivered the silent protocol to humanity. But this time, the conversation was very different. Jake stood before the assembly and spoke for all the liberated races. "We have won the first battle, but the war for freedom is not over. Some Council members still refuse to accept change. They will try to rebuild their power and force the galaxy back into silence." An elderly delegate from the Corvani descendants stood up. "Captain Morrison, your species showed us that we do not have to live in fear. What do you propose we do now?" "We build a new galactic government," Jake replied. "One where every species has a voice. One where exploration and growth are celebrated, not forbidden. One where the truth is shared, not hidden. The Assembly voted to create the Galactic Liberation Council. Unlike the old council that ruled through fear and lies, this new organization would be democratic. Every member species would have equal representation. Decisions would be made openly, with all information shared freely. Dr. Carter was put in charge of a new scientific exchange program. Species that had been isolated for centuries could now share their knowledge with others. Medical advances, technological innovations, and cultural wisdom would flow freely across the galaxy. Admiral Reynolds became the head of the new defense forces. The liberated species would work together to protect each other from any remaining threats. The Devourers were reprogrammed to serve as construction machines, helping to build new colonies and space stations. Kelthera and the Architects emerged from their long isolation. They shared their advanced technology with the younger races and began the work of healing the damage they had caused 3,000 years ago. Many architects volunteered to help establish colonies and research stations throughout the galaxy. 6 months after the war ended, Jake stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, the new capital of the Galactic Liberation Council. Through the large windows, he could see ships from dozens of different worlds docking at the facility. Each vessel represented a species that had chosen courage over fear. Commander Harper joined him at the window. She had been promoted to captain of her own ship and was preparing to lead humanity's first official exploration mission beyond their local star cluster. "Hard to believe how much has changed," Lisa said. 6 months ago, we were trapped in our own solar system. Now we have friends across the galaxy." Jake nodded. "The aliens thought they could keep us quiet forever. They thought fear was stronger than hope." Dr. Carter approached them with a datapad in his hands. "Captain, I have the final report on the liberation of the confined species. All 17 races are now free. They have established new colonies and are exploring star systems they were forbidden to visit for centuries." Jake smiled as he looked at the report. The galaxy was no longer silent. Ships traveled freely between star systems. New colonies were being built on hundreds of worlds. Research stations shared discoveries that benefited everyone. The fear that had controlled the galaxy for 3,000 years was finally broken. In its place was something the old council had never understood: cooperation, trust, and the simple human belief that freedom was worth any risk. Young civilizations throughout the galaxy looked to the stars with excitement instead of terror. They knew that the universe was vast and full of possibilities, and they knew that no one would ever again use fear to cage their dreams. Jake thought about Ambassador Zethkar and the other council leaders who had tried to keep humanity silent. They had underestimated something fundamental about humans and all intelligent life: the desire to explore, to grow, and to reach for something better. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Silence might seem safe, but it was also a kind of death. Only by speaking up, by asking questions, and by refusing to accept comfortable lies could any species truly live. As Jake watched the ships come and go from Unity Station, he knew that humanity had given the galaxy something precious: the courage to choose defiance over submission, hope over fear, and freedom over safety. The stars were no longer forbidden. They called to every species with the promise of infinite possibilities. And finally, after 3,000 years of silence, the galaxy was ready to answer.